enjoying your summer so far? So far, so good?
Yeah.
Good. So I just have a few questions before I start anything. Is there anyone here who wants to be a professional athlete?
What? What?
Professional athlete.
Oh.
Athlete.
A good bunch of you. How about those who want to be a movie star? Any musicians? So I want to talk to all of you today, right? It's not just about the three questions that I asked, but I asked those questions because we have a tendency to focus on one goal and we lose sight of what it means to grow up, what it means to be an adult. So I just want to bring some things into perspective for you all. Because if you look at the population and how many athletes we have, some of you raised your hands, but if you look at the statistics, maybe one of you would make it pro. Even out of college, it's like 4 out of thousands that make it to professional. So I want you to start thinking about what your options are. That's why I'm here. I'm here because I want to see everyone get somewhere. I want to see you grow. I want to see you think about your various options in life. So as Rana said, I'm Vinny, and I have 3 boys, 17, 9, and 1. So it's quite a range. And so one thing I want to, as I talk today, I'm not here to discourage you from following your dreams. It's all about following your dreams, but at the same time, it's about having various options in front of you as you think about those things. So if you know, as you grow up, and all of us have done this as a kid, you look up to some big star and say, I want to be like him or like her, and then we forget about school, we forget about everything else that will help us get to where we want to be. Right? It's not just about, you know, yeah, I see LeBron James, he's this great basketball player, and I want to be like him. Is that enough? Right? It's not enough. Right? You got to think about a lot of other things that come into the picture. So when you look at all this and when you see the possibility for you to become a professional, whatever it is, like an athlete, a movie star, or a musician, when you think about that number being very, very low, how many of you in here think it's a good idea to have a plan B? Have another plan in case that one doesn't work for you, right? Very good, right? That's what I want here, right? Because your plan B, what I'm going to propose, could potentially be your plan A. I really want you to think about life, and you know, as you get older, and then as you think about becoming, you know, like in your upper teens and then turning into adulthood, you got to think about life, right? Does anybody know who Mark Cuban is? So Mark Cuban is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He is a billionaire. He's a very famous person. But one of the things he said is, if you can, I'm going to read because I don't want to misquote him. If you can wake up in the morning with a big old smile on your face, excited about your day, you are successful. And how much money you have doesn't change any of that. This is important for me because, you know, as we think about famous people, we're thinking about just the money part, and it's not just the money part. Even professional athletes, some of them are making $33,000 a year, which is, when you think about fame and glory and all these millionaires, it just doesn't add up, right? So that's why this money part is important. So it's just part of you to be happy, and no matter how much money you have or don't have, doesn't change your happiness. Is that good? Everybody understand that part? All right. So as you think about growing up, one thing that I have learned, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing up even though I'm much older than you, is this idea of delayed gratification. to make it less complicated, I'll just use sacrifice for you guys, right? So if I use the word sacrifice, just understand it means we wait for the thing we want to get, achieve, or gain, or get, whatever that is. And some sacrifices that you can experience in school is, let's say you have two students that have a big exam coming up in 3 weeks, and one of them decides they want to spend more time hanging out with friends, they want to be on Facebook, they want to watch TV, and then the last day before the exam they want to cram and study hard. The other student is sacrificing all these things and studies multiple times every day, and they just keep studying. Who do you think is going to get the A on the exam? First student? Who thinks the first student who doesn't study until the last day was going to get the A in that exam? Oh, that's quite interesting. Is that you?
No, it depends on the person. Someone could study 2 hours, and another person could study 9 hours, and maybe the person that studies 2 hours might pass the exam.
That's a good observation, right? Some students have that skill. However, the student that you think only studied for 2 hours is maybe that's what you just saw, right? Because they're spending some time studying. And granted, some students have it easier in some subject areas, but that doesn't mean for everything they have to not study and then just one day just get up and expect to get that good grade, right? So in general, sacrificing is really important in your life. And sacrificing is a muscle you exercise at a young age, and as you get older, in every part of your life, sacrifice becomes something that you must choose. So if I tell you my story, how I got to work at Microsoft. In my early 20s, I was working right out of bachelor's degree. I had an electrical engineering degree at the time, focusing on computers. I was working, I was making good money, but I was never happy. The reason why I wasn't happy, it wasn't, like I said earlier, it's not about the money, right? It's about being content where you are. I was not happy because the work I was doing had nothing to do with technology. It had nothing to do with where I wanted to be. So in 2001, I made a choice to move to Seattle because I wanted to work at Microsoft. But I told my parents I already had a job when I moved, because at the time I was living in Africa. So I'm moving halfway across the globe, and I didn't want my parents to worry. Right? Have any of you ever done something and not told your parents because you didn't want them to worry? Right? Or you didn't tell them because you didn't want them to say it's a wrong idea? Right? So in my case, after I moved, I kept applying for jobs, I kept searching, I kept knocking at every door I could at Microsoft. Nothing was happening. This was the moment I said, maybe I should have told my parents. Maybe when they tried to convince me to stay, I would have said yes. But it was too late, right? I couldn't go back. I'm already here. I have no job. I have to figure out what do I need to do. And my goal, as I told you, is to work at Microsoft, right? So I decided, okay, if I go and do a master's degree in computer science, I will stand out against my competition. Right? I'll be in a better position to get the job that I want. So I made some sacrifices. My sacrifices were, instead of partying, being with friends, that I'm going to go to school for 2 years. I'm going to study hard. I'm going to study hard, and I'm going to get the A's, and I'm going to get to where I need to be and stand out against all my competition. So that was my sacrifice. And it turned out good, because by 2002, around 2003, even though I was just starting school, I started to get some jobs in the technology field. I'm still not at Microsoft, but I'm getting closer, right? And by the time I graduate, somebody calls me out of Microsoft and gives me my first job, right? So that was my dream come true. So that's what I want. So that's my journey, how I got here, is because I made some sacrifices, I made some choices, and I took some risks, and I got there. Even though that was a dream come true, I never stopped creating goals. You still have to just keep moving forward. So when you achieve something, your sacrifices will change, but life is all about what do I need to wait for to get to where I need to go. So part of the things you'll learn as an adult when you make sacrifices is how you use your money. Right? Do you go out and buy everything just on your first paycheck, or do you wait and get the things you want? That's why I said you exercise your sacrifice muscles now with school, right? And sacrifices to you, what does it mean? Is it playing with friends? Is it Facebook? Is it anything that distracts you from achieving your goals? So as you make sacrifices, you get to learn, and as you get older, because you're wise with your sacrifices and your spending, you can get the things you want. Is it a big house? Is it the car of your dreams? Or is it toys? Like for me at this time, I have toys. Like I have a motorcycle. So I brought it here not to say I have this, but to show you when you have goals, you can achieve them. Right? That's really key. Why I'm here to talk to you, because you gotta understand the sacrifices as you move forward. So now let's think about what options are, right? So you say sports, movies, and all of that. That's very nice to have, but that should not be just your only goal. So if you think about Samuel Jackson, he's a very famous movie star. I'm sure pretty much most of you know who he is. But he didn't start his career as a movie star. He was actually a social worker. And he was doing small gigs here and there until his acting career took off. So all of you could have a plan to achieve anything you want. Make sure you go after your dream. What I'm saying today is not to stop from dreaming, but actually when you dream, have plans and steps that you have to take to get to your dreams. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So just you focus. I'm actually proposing, being a movie star or an athlete should be plan B. Your plan A should be, what is it the one thing nobody can take away from you? And that's the one thing that you put in your head, right? That's what you learn through any form of education, whether it's life education, college, or whatever it is what you learn, nobody can take that away from you. But your skills, like your physical skills, an accident can take it away from you. Right? Some other force will take it away from you. But if you focus on what you can change, and that's how you think about your options, nobody can take that away from you. So as you ponder on, what could be my options, I want to propose STEM. Who knows what STEM is? So one of you, can you tell everybody else what it is?
So STEM is, in words, it's science, technology, engineering, and math.
Very good. So who in here thinks a career in STEM is a possibility for you?
What?
Do you think you can get into science, technology, maths, or engineering as a career?
Math, I think.
Okay, that's very good. So, all of you, my proposal, all of you can get into STEM. When you think the word STEM, it's scary, right? Like for some who would say, I'm not into the science and math stuff, but how many here use a computer on a regular basis? Okay, how many of you have a smartphone? Play video games? Yeah, so pretty much all of you already have the seed to be in the STEM as a career choice. You're just scared of it because it has those big words that might or might not mean anything. And the nice part about STEM today, when I was growing up, this was not a possibility, but you have a lot of options today. You don't have to have a PhD to get into STEM, right? Your education level can be from a 1 hour, 2 hour online course to a 3-year degree, 4-year degree, all the way to PhD, but you have all this range that you can go into to get into STEM. And then some of the things you can do. Anybody who likes drawing arts? Okay, so you can become, this is just a suggestion, right? You can become a graphics designer. And there's not a lot of schooling needed because it's your artistic skills is what gets you there, right? So you can design logos for companies, you can design banners, you can design their marketing material. So that's just one small piece where you can get into it, right? If you love working with people, right? Who here has it easy to make friends? Right? It's very easy to make friends, right? So you can get into selling technology products. You can get into helping customers so that they don't have pain when they're dealing with the various products. You can get involved in user interface design. That's when you open your computer, what you see in front of you, that's the interface that you have. You can help design that so that it's easier for everybody to use. No matter what background they come from, with what kind of disability they have, you can get involved in that. That's why I'm proposing to you, your STEM career should be your plan A, everything else plan B, but work both of them. Don't lose sight of all your dreams. But one is your kind of backup plan if the other doesn't work. But the backup plan sometimes should be like, your career should be the main goal. Like I said, nobody can take away anything from you once you learn something. So with that, I hope you got a lot of information from me. I hope it was useful. But I want to just spend time just letting you ask any questions you want and just opening it up for you.
Where did you live in Africa?
I was born in Ethiopia, so that's where I lived until I was 14. And then I came here for studies and went back to work.
Do you have any work like Africa?
Do I have any
Work in Africa?
work?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked there for about 7 years. I was in road construction work, but I did not enjoy that. Because it wasn't my passion, right? So one thing is you must follow your passion, right? Whatever your passion is, don't make it about money, just make it about your passion. If somebody asks you, would you do this job even if you're not paid? You have to be able to say yes. That's your passion, then you can follow it.
How many years has it been since you left Africa?
So 2001 is 2017, so 16 years now.
What do you do for yourself?
So I'm a program manager, and program manager can be defined in many different ways, but in my current role, I very much enjoy helping people. That's why I'm here today, because I want to see all of you get somewhere. And so I'm in the customer service and support organization. What we are working on is making sure that the customers do not have any pain. When they work on Office, for example, and if Office is not working for them, they call customer service. When they call us, we want to make sure that we're giving them an experience that is fantastic. And so in my team, we're looking at ways, how do we improve the way our agents interact with our customers? So those are the kind of programs that I manage. Don't be shy.
You've been forever what in STEM or something?
Yes. So you are not limited to just one specific thing, right? And even if you if you think about science, there's so many aspects of science. You can be a doctor, a dentist, you can go into biology, you can do into research. So everything you think about, in some way or form, you're already touching some part of STEM. And can you take that forward and not limit yourself? Like, give yourself possibilities. Right? Make your possibilities wise. Dream big, really big, and then when you get somewhere, you'll say, yes, I achieved my goals. And that's how you can measure your success. It's by how big you are dreaming and how bold you are going after your dreams.
CEO students, you guys have any questions since this is your area of expertise? This is not the time to be shy. You guys have someone that's really great here in front of you that's giving you great advice about careers. Thanks, Malia.
What interests you most about your job?
So I love technology. That's really what I'm passionate about. And then I combine that with my love for people. And when I work every day, I think about the relationships that I'm building. It's not just about I've solved this problem. If I am destroying relationships, that problem is not solved for me, right? So I like working with people, and in customer service, we really get to make an impact on how customers view us. I don't talk to customers daily, but what I do will eventually make the customer happy or unhappy. So I have to work really hard to make them happy.
What's the hardest problem you faced?
The hardest problem. So I think, life-wise, probably the decision to come here in 2001 is one of my hardest problems that I faced. It had me learn a lot about me, how much I'm willing to take risks in life. And that learning, it applies at work. Because when you're working, sometimes you have to take risks. When you take risks, some of the things will fail. Right? And you have to be okay with that as you're working. Because it's not always about everybody must get the A or everybody must get the A. It's not always about that, right? It's about when something doesn't work, what is the next thing you have to do to get out of this situation and move on to the next one? So everything you do in life, that's why I mentioned this sacrifice muscle. Everything you do in life, it has a very long term. Like some of the things we think about is, for the short term I benefit, but for the long term the consequences are very hard. Or you can reverse that and say, short term I have some consequences that I don't like. I want to go play this video game. But the consequence is the long-term consequence because I'm going to get a bad grade, right? So you have to choose which side you want to be on. You want to have the long-term benefit, or you want to have the long-term consequence.
Yeah, I do have a question. So now that, congratulations on accomplishing a goal. That's because that's a lot of steps that you took, and I'm really proud of you. What is your new goal? Now that you accomplished it, what's your next goal?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I said, I never stop making goals. And my goals are always big. Small, I feel like I'll achieve it tomorrow, so that's not challenging enough. And so my next goal is to be a CEO at a major technology company. So that's what I'm working on.
Good guy to know, right? Might get a job someday from Benny.
Yes.
Benny, I have a quick question. What do you recommend for the students in this room that may be interested in STEM careers? What can they do now? And a lot of students will be moving into high school in a year or two. What can they do with their education and their grades and possibly college choices to make sure they're set up for success in entering a STEM career?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One, you really have to be interested in STEM before you tackle it. Right? If you're just doing it for some other reason, it could be you think that STEM pays good money, or STEM has some other liberty that you're looking for. Those are wrong reasons, and there's nothing you can do to really fix that problem. But as I said, all of you have the potential and the ability to get into STEM. The one thing is, make sacrifices now to really understand what you're learning. It's easy in middle school, high school, to say, I'm just going to do the bare minimum and understand these maths issues or biology class stuff. But then what happens tomorrow? After you've done this high level studies and you got your A, but maybe you didn't pay attention to it, what's next, right? So, because everything builds on what you're learning today. So keep your focus on your studies. Don't just do it for the sake of that A. Do it for the sake of really deeply understanding what you're learning. And then as you build on it, your appetite for that subject area is going to keep growing and growing until someday you say, this is what I want to do in college, and this is what I want to do for work. And then start looking for schools that are specializing in those areas. Right? As parents, I told you I have kids. I want my sons to go to school at the University of Washington. That's what I want. But the reality is, it has to align with their desire. It has to align with what they want to study. So if they find a school, my oldest son wants to be a dentist. If he finds a school that's much better than UW for the dentist school, I want to encourage him to go there. I don't want to, make his options limited because I want him at home. Right? So think about those things. What the area that you want to focus on, find the schools that are really good at it, and then you can achieve your goals.
Any burning questions to wrap up?
That's why I'm here.
One more question.
Sure.
So if you go into the UW, you have a dormitory or something, and then you have to pay for your child. Like it's like a dorm, college dorm, and you have a training for a job.
Yeah.
Training.
So as you're going to college, if you go to college, let's say near your parents, you have the option to live at home. You don't necessarily have to live in the dorm. But when you're going far away, that's when you get into the dorm life. And your first year might be where you're learning about living with other people outside your siblings and your parents. That will be a little bit challenging, but there's some learning, that's some growing, right? As you get older, you learn to experience those things, and then as you grow, you make choices of, okay, these are the kind of people I want to live with, or don't want to live with, either way. And then also, when you're in school, you can think about, do I want to get this part-time job on the side and still do good in school and focus on everything that I want to do? Don't lose sight of your goal. Right? The small stuff is not the important stuff. So you have to go after your goal, and then other things that are kind of nice to have, think about them and prioritize whether they should have them or should not have them.
What about the teachers in the room? Any questions from any of you that you might have a question about Microsoft or STEM careers? Or anything for the students in the room?
I have one. So I think a lot of times we hear about certain aspects of the STEM career, like certain places, like being extremely, extremely competitive and hard to get into. And I think that a lot of times that can, like that perception can turn us off from it, like, oh, STEM's hard for one to start with, and the competition to get the job is hard. What sort of advice is there out for that? Like, how do we navigate those sorts of things?
Yeah, that's a good point. The competition is hard when there's only one or two specific places you want to get into. Like for me, I wanted to be at Microsoft, so from 2001 until 2005, it's a long journey. It's the time period where I could have given up and said, no, I'm just going to go back to my own life, right? So don't be afraid of competition. Competition actually makes you a better person. It makes you figure out what are the things I must do to get ahead of my competition, right, of the rest of the people. How do I stand out? So you can focus on how you stand out. And then the other thing is, don't just focus on a single path to get where you want to go. Sometimes you have to step away from your goals, but they're getting you closer. You know, they might appear to be veering off, but like the first technology company I worked for was a company that made chips for cell phones. It was a startup company, but it was something that got me closer to where I needed to be. So I took that step, right? So those are the things you must do. You have a goal. If you want to work at Boeing, for example, don't just be stuck at Boeing. Start exploring what are companies that supply to Boeing? What are companies that work with Boeing? How can I get in and prove myself that I am this better candidate for the next opportunity that Boeing brings to you?
So, when you become a CEO,
Yes.
not if, it's when, what kind of skills are you going to be looking for and future employees that you want to hire? So say some of these students someday might be applicants for jobs at your company. What will you be looking for on the people you want on your team?
I very much enjoy mentoring and coaching people. I love doing that. And in various jobs, I believe in taking risks and giving people opportunities. Going through various interviews in my life, I've seen that sometimes the interview does not really paint the whole picture of who the person is or what they can do. So when I get there, and I like it a when, it's not an if question, I want to look at the young generation and the opportunities I create for them. I want to be able to take risks and say, look, what can we together come up with and make the company better, and not just think about how much we profit.
That's good.
Yeah.
You might have a good boss someday. It's really good. Any other questions? Who's in the CEO class? Raise your hand. Just curious. Cool. If you didn't ask a question in CEO, do you have any burning questions? Lydia? No?
So if you're a CEO, also care what skills do you
Sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
if you're a CEO can care what skills do you think
If you're a CEO of students, what skills do you need to have? That's the question. So, skills, there's no specific skill at this age, right? At this age, we want you to learn, we want you to grow, we want you to absorb, and then start directing your life to the areas that appear to be very important to you. Right? Nobody should tell you, this is the way you should go. Right? Even parents should not tell you, this is the way you should go. That's for you to decide. But parents know a lot better than you, so they will guide you. They'll give you suggestions. Then you take those suggestions and say, okay, I understand this part, but my heart tells me to go in a different direction. You should be able to take those steps towards that passion, that goal you have. Good?
You're all looking at me. I like it. No other questions, huh? Okay. Well, what do we say to Benny?
Thank you.
Do you guys mind if we do a quick group picture outside before Benny has to leave so we can give him a nice memory of his time here? Do you guys mind if we do that real quick? And you can be dismissed to your class, okay? Thank you so much, Benny. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm going to get my camera so we can...
Wait. Sorry. I forgot. Very important.
Wait a second. We got something.
I told you that you already have the stem seed in you when you're using all these different things. So I brought some seeds here, some peas. I would like you to take one and think about as you plant it, as it grows, think about your own life. Think about how your life grows. And I'm going to leave them here. I would like each of you to take one and plant it and use it as a reminder for your future, right? I'm growing, just like this seed goes from seed to a plant.
Awesome.
So please take one.
Thank you.